Gathering intel, planting the spike, providing support, all of this is what Initiators do. Today I show you how to make the biggest impact in a game without even using your weapon, and why you should definitely try taking on this role. Who should play a support role? Let's start by figuring out who fit the support role best. The key trait of a great support player is adaptability to their team's playstyle. You need to know when to play aggressively and when to take a more cautious approach. And if you enjoy contributing to your team through game sense rather than just running around and shooting, then this role is for you. I divide supports into two main categories. The first type is information gatherers, using recon abilities like drones, reveals and scans. Agents like Sova and Fate fall into this category. Their abilities allow them to clear angles and guide their team on how to approach a situation. And the second type help their team take space and push safely using flash, stuns and silences. These are initiators like KO, Sky and Gika. Their role is to disrupt enemies and create opening for their teammates to take fights more effectively. But enough with the intro, let's break down how you can become the kind of initiator that enemies fear and teammates respect. Regardless of what kind of support player you are, it's usually best to play alongside a duelist. Why? Because Initiator's abilities are most effective when used in coordination with your team. Take Sova drone. For example, yes, it gathers information, but it also reveals his location. This is why duelists who can play aggressively are the perfect teammate to capitalize on that intel as fast as possible. With Valorant's fast-paced gameplay, even information that just 10 seconds old can already be outdated. Of course, staying alive is important for any agent, but let's look at an example. You're playing Sova, you push into a side, take out one enemy and then boom, headshotted. Now what? You think, okay, it's a 4v4, but your team just lost their main source of intel. Or, let's say your team needs to retake a site on defense. Without your utility, the retakes turn into a risky coin flip where only raw aim matters. Now imagine if you had stayed alive a bit longer, you could help your team safely take control of key position with your drone or revealed enemy location with your utility. Even though you didn't get more kills, your presence alone would have doubled your team's chance of winning the round. This is what playing support is all about. The longer you survive, the more impact you have. However, always keep track of your abilities. If your recon is on a 40 seconds cooldown or you didn't pick up your flash as a Gika, then there's no point in hiding in a corner of the map. Gather information in any way you can and play more aggressively, adapting to your team's movement. If you want to master this role, you'll need to learn more than just how to shoot. You'll also need to study lineups, and I mean lots of lineups. Let's be honest, a Sova Fate who knows their lineups can completely change the game. Their utility can make enemies feel like they have nowhere to hide. Take our friend Tony, for example. He just started playing support and picked up Sova. First, he watched some lineups videos and lured a single recon dart. First round, boom, his dart lands perfectly, spot enemies and his team easily win the round. Tony feels great. He thinks he's found his main agent. Next round, he does the exact same lineups and the enemies break it instantly. And again. And again. Why? Because he became predictable. Now Tony thinks that lineups aren't really that useful, but he's wrong. A strong initiator knows plenty of lineups and won't lose effectiveness at any stage of the game. Frustrated, Tony switched to Gika, thinking no more lineups, just flashes. But again, he keeps throwing the same wave flash every round and enemies learn to counter it. Why? Because he doesn't know the maps well enough. He doesn't even realize how many opportunities he actually has. Every wall, every window, every little gap exists for a reason. These details allow you to be more creative in utility usage. If you don't understand the map, enemies will always predict your move. Valorant is a tactical shooter and communication is one of the most important parts of the game. But beyond just callouts about enemy positions and strategies, each role has its own specific type of communication. Let's bring Tony back. He's on solo again, but now he knows multiple lineups. This time his dart isn't broken immediately. Yo, nice! But wait, his duelist push onto site and instantly dies? What went wrong? Here's the problem, even the best recon dart can scan everything, but how is the duelist supposed to know where to look? This is why role-specific communication is crucial. When Tony uses his dart, he should be telling his duelist which angles it won't clear. That way the duelist knows exactly where to focus when entering the site. So, always communicate with your team about how to use your utility effectively. The better your team understands your abilities, the stronger you all become. Valorant is a game of timing. Well-timed abilities can give you a massive advantage, while bad timing just wastes your resources. For example, let's say you're playing KO. Your team gets intel that the enemies are rotating, so you wait 5 seconds before throwing your knife at the other side, but there's no one there. Why? Because there's no way the enemies could have rotated that quickly. As a result, your ability is wasted and now you have to rely solely on your aim. Before using your ability, always ask yourself, why am I using this right now? Do I really need to? Mastering timing is what separates a good initiator from a great one. Use your abilities with purpose and you'll control the pace of the game instead of just reacting to it. Flashes are one of the most powerful tools in the game, both for attacking and defending, but they also come with great responsibility. How many rounds have been lost because an initiator blinded their entire team by using flash carelessly? Let's bring back our friend Mr. Tony. We're pushing aside and Tony is playing KO. The enemy team smokes us off, so we decide to push through with a flash. The first flash is great. It goes deep into the site, blinding enemies. The second flash, it blinds our entire team. Now we're running around like blind moles getting shared by enemy bullets. How could we have played this better? The first flash was perfect, it went deep into the site but the enemy dodged it. Now, as they pick us, Tony throws the exact same flash again, but this time it only blinds our team, not the enemy. What should Tony have done instead? After the first deep flash, when the duelist has already pushed past the smoke, the second flash should have a pop flash behind the duelist. That way it wouldn't blind our team, but would catch any enemies trying to peek. KO was just an example, and many other support agents also have flashes. However, this mindset applies to every initiator. Understanding when and why to use your abilities is what truly makes the difference. To be a good initiator, you need to combine your abilities with your teammates' positions and playstyle. These abilities can completely turn the tide all around, yet they're some of the most underrated tools in the game, and that's because many players don't use them properly. Mr. Tony thinks the same way, he barely used Giga's Molotov. Big mistake. Slow down enemy push to buy time for your team. Deny spike diffusers and secure rounds. Lineups. Sounds great, right? And what about Bridge? He has 2 stuns. Instead of just throwing them blindly into main, how about stunning K positions to create space for your team? Seriously, I don't know why more players don't think about this. This is a crucial aspect that every initiator faces, and Mr. Tony is no exception. He has learned all the lineups, know the timings, and understand the support playstyle. But here's the problem, duelists don't want to play off his flash and stuns, and the rest of the team doesn't seem to care about his reveals, so what should he do? My main advice, don't tilt. Yes, sometimes it really feels like you have 4 bots on your team who have no clue what's happening on the map. But giving up right away isn't the best solution either. Adapt your playstyle. Your toolkit allows you to make a huge impact even when playing solo. Adjust to the situation and try unconventional solutions. And no, I'm not saying to mute your team and just play for frags. Keep making calls and playing with the team, but do so while relying only on yourself. For example, if your team isn't pushing into the side of your flash, still communicate what you're doing and when, but then take the entry yourself right after the duelist. Or, if the genius is too scared to make the first move and hides into a corner, then play aggressively yourself. Yes, this means you might not use your agent full potential, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices to win. Now let's talk about maps. Not just map knowledge, but which initiator works best on each map. For example, Breach and Fracture is an absolute monster. Tight choke points, perfect for his stuns. Small sides, his utility covers almost everything. Easy flash angles, just look at how effective his flash is at stopping main pushes. You don't have to memorize every single agent to map matchup, but understanding which initiators work best on different maps will give you an edge. And that's everything you need to know about initiators. Thanks to this video, Mr. Tony finally hit top 1 Radiant. If you found this helpful, drop a like and subscribe. Also, share your own tips in the comments and let me know which role you want me to cover next. See you next time. Bye bye.